Okay, and we're live.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that summary looks good. I don't know if anyone else feels that they want to add or add more.
Yeah, I just add that little bottom section with like, did you want to
Which
include
is
that or
perfect.
no?
Yep, no, I think that's perfect.
Just because I felt
No,
like that was a really important part of the end. Sorry, go ahead, Cheryl.
No, that's very relevant. I think that's very relevant.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and change that to black just so.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, that's a good idea. At least we know we're done and through it. And
Yeah. Well, good summary. Good job.
So on to the next one, the principles and concepts.
So the first one,
yeah.
Sorry,
just because I'm doing the final or my family assessment is resilience, so I've been studying that a lot. So you can kind of see a lot of my to do with that model. But principles or concepts that I have there, and the red come from resilience model.
So do you guys want to like to put this in like paragraph form or point form? Like, I know the first one says CBT could be helpful, but I'm, well, at loss as how to change their
Right.
At a loss of it. Yeah,
I
mean
think we should write it
to
in
me.
paragraphs.
Okay.
Okay.
My opinion. 1 of 5.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just I feel like we still need to expand because I feel like this part, the principles part, is really what she's looking for. And I feel like we expand on, especially this part. Like I think the other ones can be a little bit point form.
ABCX, the typology model, we can go with if you want, add the resilience model.
I know we have to have 3 for sure in this section.
Yeah. Well, and resilience,
and
I think, is going to be key for this family.
The double. There's the double ABCX. Yeah, it was hard. Let me just see. On the FAR model, let me just pull my notes. Okay, you know, I feel like you could take any of these because the FAR model has that adaptation and the adjustment phases where, and then you decide if it's working or not working, and you have to adapt and adjust and kind of go back in circles, right? And that bond adjustment or maladjustment. Yeah, that one's the typology. But I thought the FAR model had, when you go to the end, it has, hey, how do you like this for like blowing up my whole, trying to figure out these. I know.
Wow, MVP.
Yeah, no, only because it just is a lot to understand. So on that one, on the awareness, shares the resilience. It has shared family orientation and meaning. On later, I'll jump ahead a little bit. So I open up that optional reading, and it talked model and these others. It talks about FAR model, about finding meaning, crisis having any meaning. And it was interesting that several of the people was by that same doctor, Shamir or something. And he said, people do well if they have meaning to it, and in a lot of these, let me just tell you what some of their meaning about coming to Israel, being Jewish. From the Holocaust, a lot of their ancestors had done that they were Zionist movement, they were the homeland. In fact, I don't want to say glamorized, but they really made people heroes who had died as martyrs. So that was some of the things that it showed, how people came through it. Anyway, I'm not sure where this fits in. Oh.
Well, I read the extra reading. What's interesting is the extra reading and some of the reading we had dealt with the Jewish people, but our case study has to do with the Palestinian family, and the stress that they each receive is the same. And
right, because isn't that what the Gaza Strip is? It's that whole fight for the strip between Palestine and Israel.
Yeah, there's a lot of
first one was in the
there.
Gaza Strip. Mm-hmm.
And at the very bottom of this section that we're working on, I just made some notes from the additional reading. It doesn't necessarily come, it doesn't tie directly to one of the models, but it did say what helps. And what I wrote is commemoration helps some people cope with the loss of a child. So they gave examples of people that put scrapbooks together for their children and did things to commemorate their life. It's therapeutic for them to become involved with memorial activities. And parents can join support groups with other parents who have lost child to violence, which seems to help. The thing that interested me the most is it said when children die as a result of violent acts, social support reduces the level of post-traumatic stress disorder among bereaved parents. So they quoted, family science with each one of these, sentences I put on here, but it doesn't necessarily tie to one of the models.
Well, I feel like that is problem solving and coping under the coping strategies.
Okay.
So I had those same thoughts. The interesting thing is the same thing that you're saying. It's like people who, once to 9/11, immediately became a part of a support group. Here, they have a shared grief. Who were like all affected by the Boston Marathon bomb or the mass shooting in Vegas. Now they all have this collective, and they all help each other heal, and that it does help the grieving to be part of a group. Right? Isn't that what you read out of that?
Well, they actually commented that there are two parts to that, especially when it becomes a national event. One is individual and the second is national. Mm-hmm. So we have an individual who's grieving over a family member, but it becomes a part of a much larger thing. And in Israel, it's a very Jewish thing, if you will, to mourn for those that you lose. Same thing really, I think, happens with the Palestinians. I can't even imagine living in a place where you've got rockets going overhead all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So with the principles and concepts we want to use then, I added thoughts to CBT. We can delete it if we want, just to get things done on paper. Add or delete whatever you want. With the next one about the ABC model or family typology model, do we want to use either of those, or I feel like we need to expand on them?
Well, I think we'd have to expand if we list them.
Yeah.
I mean, with the family typology model, there's always you come up with one strategy to cope and adapt, and you kind of make that work for a while, see if it works, and then there's always a chance to kind of regroup and review and redo as the situations dictate. And I think that that's constantly what the Israeli and Palestinian civilians are doing, is trying to modify the way they cope with what's immediately in front of them.
Yeah, they have the two phases, the adjustment and then adaptation. And
Right, yeah.
I think that's a case where they adjust, but they never really adapt.
They don't have time to adapt, I don't think. And this is kind of leaning in political, but yeah, they don't have time to really get into one groove before things get
I'm not sure.
up.
I'm not sure I agree with time, but I think it's more an issue that it's constant. I don't think it's going to
Right.
stop.
No.
Okay, let's try this.
They need to move.
Oh, that's hard. You look at all those refugees and trying to set up but didn't you read that from the optional that people felt strongly that they were there for a cause, that they were, you know, about that. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to kind of type while I'm, I don't know if three of us want to kind of start typing one of them, take the typology, one, either the FAR or the AACX, and I'll kind of try type a paragraph under resilience model.
I'm going to step away just for a moment.
Sure.
Okay.
See you later. See you in a minute.
I'm going to grab my notes really quick.
Okay. Charge of the music.
You know, this talks about principles or concepts. I'm not sure that we list models. I think we list concepts or principles that can be applied.
Good point. Okay.
And we're listing models, and I think a principle comes from within the model.
Oh, I'm glad you. Okay, I'm glad you picked that up. That's that's better.
So would you say like the adjustment, like that would be one, like principle or adaptation? Is that like what you're saying?
I think something like that. Yeah.
Like a part of it.
Yeah, not just listing models, just listing, and then we can elaborate on each one.
So here's a couple of principles that came out of that Dr. Shamai's notes.
Okay.
Was the higher the marital quality, the lower the levels of stress and concern. That's a principle. Another principle.
So would you want like good coping strategies so that like stress is lower, like that kind of thing?
I don't know. One of the findings that he had was
It's
that
a
family,
female. I believe the doctor's a female.
is
I think
it?
it's a woman. Yeah.
One of the findings was that people who, the couples who went through these hard things as a shared crisis, they developed better communication skills. Their marriage and their coherence with each other, or cohesion, was increased. But I don't, yeah, I guess let's try to define what principle.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I think that's good.
I read that as well. Most of the people in that situation didn't do well. It was rare that they did well because of the stresses that were caused by, the fears of what was happening over the war, basically, that's happening over there. So as I read the article, it appeared that what you're saying is true. I'm not sure how we would apply that. I just don't know how we would apply that to make it a positive thing for them, because it seems like most of them, didn't do very well in that situation as couples.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you could live effectively or joyfully under that much stress all the time. It never lets up.
Right.
And they couldn't even let their son play outside. I mean, this brought a real dose of reality for me.
I'll see it when you talk to people who aren't from the US, and maybe Tiffany can chime in.
Or Canada.
People perceive the US as being very dangerous, and everyone's got guns, and I hear that perception about us. And it's not bombing every day. There's some sense of normalcy, and all of us have been through such that seem bizarre, but you can somehow make it normal. I don't know. I think they somehow manage. That's one of the principles, is normalizing things. And then one of the others is down below, let's see, ask to accept what can't be changed. And focus on strengths. These are under the coping strategies I put. But sustaining hope, overcoming the odds, those were principles that work. And I think weirdly, people could even, like my family, find weird humor. And so, like, here's just because I had to give a lesson. And so here's a talk from President Nelson, talked about joy and survival. And he tells the story about Eliza R. Snow, that because of Missouri's infamous extermination order, in the grueling winter, she and other saints were forced to flee the state that very winter. One evening, her family spent the night in a small log cabin used by refugee saints. Much of the chinking between the logs had been extracted and burned for firewood by those who preceded them. So there were holes between the logs large enough for a cat to crawl through. Their food was frozen solid. That night, some 80 people huddled inside that small cabin, only 20 feet square. Most sat or stood all night trying to keep warm. Outside, a group of men spent the night gathered fire, with some singing hymns and others roasting frozen potatoes. Eliza recorded, not a complaint was heard. All were cheerful, and judging from appearances, strangers would have taken us for pleasure excursionists rather than a band of gubernatorial exiles. So I was thinking, it's possible, like in those situations, people are still going to have friends. They're still going to have cousins. They're still going to have, you're still going to have dinner, every day can't be. Granted, they're at war, but I like to think that people are still having good things going on with their lives.
Yeah, they still go to birthday parties. They still go to the
Right.
library. They still have Sunday dinners. I mean, whatever. Yeah.
And wasn't those one of the rituals? Isn't rituals one of the things that is
One of the
in
four
several
family
of these
typologies.
models?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a family typology.
Mhm. And that people who had rituals.
And that goes
did-
back to the resilience
did
too.
better.
They can't live like cowering little bunnies in a corner. They just can't.
Well, one thing we can put
Okay,
as a
so let's
principle
try to
too
identify the
is
3 principles. Let's try to come up with that. Go
well,
ahead, Dave.
one principle is using existing resources.
Oh, yeah.
And
No,
so
I
we
think
can make
that's a
that,
good
and
one.
we can elaborate. We're supposed to have at least 100 words per paragraph here, but we can elaborate that, you know, existing resources to them were family. Family almost always comes up as a resource unless you don't have one. And I've seen people that are down and out who just don't have the support of a family. If you have the support of a family, that's a great resource in almost, you know, any event that comes to your life. So using family is a good resource. There are resources there of community, which, you know, broadens out from the family.
That's great. Now, for some of you, I took some of the things that were there and I just moved them to the very bottom so that we can place them later.
That's fine.
So I didn't, if you're wondering where all those paragraphs just went.
Now, just for a question and sake of discussion, David was
Okay.
just talking about community. Do you mean like a town community, or do you mean like for us an LDS community? I live in Fresno in the Central Valley, California. Would it be all the 4 stakes that make up Fresno using the members of the church as a community, or are those 2 separate communities?
Well, it would be whichever one you would lean on. I think in
Okay, that's valid.
I think that in this case study, it would be the Palestinian community. They can relate to other people. Let me go back to the case study real quick. I think it said something to the fact that they all have neighbors that have had the same experience that they've had.
Okay.
And so they're the ones that, you know, give support to each other. Let me see what it says. Osama made the comment that what they were experiencing has become normal in Gaza. This is war. Everybody has experienced loss in these wars. So in the additional reading about the Jewish community, not the Palestinian, but as it becomes a national event, then you have basically, I don't know if national pride is what I would call it, but you certainly have national. You would certainly associate yourself with you know, all the others in the nation. You take 9/11 in America, and Americans across the nation banded together and became very patriotic. And you see now a lot of people have stickers and shirts that say Vegas Strong because of what happened in Vegas. So it's not just the community here in Vegas, it's the entire nation has kind of rallied, and I think brings comfort to some of the people who are mourning or who have had losses when they see the support of the nation. As part of the study too, in some cases when people actually see the events on TV of their loved ones being put on, you know, that becomes very traumatic, and that's healthy. But if they don't see that, but see the support of the entire nation, then that's you know, that's I don't know if that would be a resource or whether that would just be something that they could associate with.
You're trying to stay away from the phrase national pride, David, and that came to my mind a lot about them, and I wonder if identity is a better word.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it would be.
No, I mean just a thought. Yeah.
Yeah, national identity. That's why pride didn't sound right. You know, you're proud that so
I
many of you are.
But what else
But
did you come up with? But yeah, I think as I heard you explaining, I thought, oh no, they're identifying as.
Yeah.
So I think maybe national identity would be a better way to put it.
So another one of the pieces, the commonalities, I'm just trying to look at these models that they have is, I guess, assessing or the appraisal, or they call it different things. Some of it is awareness, appraise. So I guess one of the things might be, as someone does that, those options, okay, we have a choice. We can stay here. We can try to leave. We can go to a refugee camp. We can, so that people can be deliberate about that and strategize and decide. So it's trying to think where that principle was. And then the other principle I came up with is several of them. They have the balanced, or the family as their harmony, you know, all of those typologies. See. Anyway, I'll let you guys talk. This one showed interpersonal relationships, spirituality, structure and function, community relationships, and nature, and that they all feed into each other.
I like assess the situation. I think that's a good principle. What should we put for the third one? And then we can work on the paragraphs.
Well, search for and agreement on solutions and implementation.
Search for
and agreement.
Okay. Search for solutions and agreement.
Right. I'm sorry. I'm going to read it again. Search for and agreement on solutions.
Search for
and agreement
on solutions.
On solutions and implementation. Put every word in there because we need every word we have.
Perfect.
Way to go, David. That's awesome.
Okay. What should I write for that paragraph? Just.
Okay, I'll take number 2 on that one. So as we'll kind of develop the shell or the, you know, the outline here, and then I'll go back and I'll take the stressor appraisal.
Well, from what I understand from you, it says your answers for each bullet point should be between 100 and 200 words. Doesn't mean like each point we put, it's like under each bullet point is what I understand. So I don't feel like we need much more, to be honest.
On each like answer. Is that what you're saying?
Oh,
Like,
yeah, we have to have 3 things for like list any, but I don't think we need 100 words. For
it's like 100 per question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we could, I think that's perfect. I think we could just finish it right now instead of having to go back.
I want to understand, shouldn't we have a minimum of 100 per bullet point? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Is it
yes.
100 and 200 words in length?
We were starting to interpret 100 words for the first principle, 100 words for the second principle.
I agree. It's 100 per bullet
we'll be here all day.
Right.
So what should we put under the third principle we have right there?
Oh, man.
Is there like a short way to kind of apply that to the situation? Like they need to...
No, we went a long way.
Complicated would be good too.
So would you say like as a couple they need to like look for and agree on solutions and how to apply it to their family? Or would you say like as an entire family they'd all get together and search it out?
Well, what's interesting, and I think it's a cultural thing, there's not one mention of Osama's wife in the entire case study.
Yeah, not at
No,
all.
I thought
we
that
know,
was terribly cultural.
we know there was one because they had another son that they named Ahmed, like the one they lost, because they wanted to keep his name in the family. But I think it'd be a family thing. I don't think it, or you can say it was a mother and father thing. But what would, in this case, I don't even know what the solution would be.
Yeah.
Unless you moved. Someone
Yeah.
else has said that as well, and it's just I don't know what else you would do other than take your family out of that area, and that would not be possible for most people.
They've got an and on that one. I don't know that at the end.
I think you should put and like determine how to resolve the issues or like find a solution or something.
Well,
Yeah.
some solutions for
Good.
dealing with the grief we've kind of covered already, and that's I'm gonna look down a little lower. We could use the same language in 2 or 3 of these different bullet points. Let me find it. I think it was cut and pasted below. Social support. So not only would they rely on social support from their neighbors, they could also provide social support to their neighbors. And that would reduce the level of post-traumatic stress disorder among the bereaved parents. And we know from the case study that Osama's not the only bereaved parent. Many neighbors have lost family members to this. So, they can join social support groups and become actively involved in supporting others who have lost family members.
Awesome. I think that looks good.
Okay. Well, I think Sonia's going to set that one spot, but let's just continue moving forward. So, list relevant risks and dangers a family and its members face. We have lots of things here.
I feel like they all look good.
Yeah, living in a war zone and all the attendant dangers, including psychological damage, loss of. I think these ones. Do you guys agree these ones can be bullet point, or do you guys want to like expand on them?
I think bullet point's good.
The loss of life or family
That's kind
members'
of
life.
the caption lends itself to, I think, is a bullet point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. List. Lowered standard of living since Osama. I don't know how to say that. Lost his job. Being careful not to be too restrictive and apprehensive of young as he grows up. Health issues. I'm gonna add a bullet point there. From surgeries and being exposed to danger. The second, not feeling good enough since they miss their other son so much. Learn that terror is trauma. National terror described as an active threat. Wow, good job whoever wrote this paragraph.
Just lost you guys. Hang on a second. Where'd I go?
We can hear you.
Oh yeah, lucky you. I know it's still recording, so that's good.
So we have things here. Does anybody want to add or delete or anything with these? Like, I think.
No, I like all of them. I think that's good.
I like how we have lots to show.
Thought about it a lot.
Yeah, good job, guys. So we're good on that question then?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Okay. And then again, list relevant opportunities for the family as a result of this crisis. I guess we can see ourselves. The one in red.
Yeah, I think the red doesn't need to be there. But I like the opportunities we mentioned.
Let's add opportunities to come together with their community to provide support to those who have lost. Some of it is repetitive, but
That's
I
okay.
like that.
But some of
But-
these concepts fit in different categories in different ways too.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
we've got to tie it all up in a nice, neat little bow.
But
to,
it can be something together.
to provide support to those who have lost family members to the.
Yeah, I think one of the last suggestions I put on here just before we met was that the parents could start the community support group,
Mhm.
either for parents or for entire families or, whatever. They could just take it and go.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, are we all good with that one then?
Yes.
So on that one, sorry, we're we're back to the opportunities. Is that what we're under?
Yeah, we're just about
we're
to
talking
talk
about
about
that.
anything to add.
Okay. No.
One thing I'd like to see, and I'm happy to get involved, we need to standardize this.
Mm-hmm.
Our
Yeah.
our margins aren't
We
the
can
same.
try to
Format, yeah.
Right. So we'll worry about formatting.
No, don't worry.
in
When
a
I
little bit.
download it, it's different when I put in Word, and I'll do that. So don't.
Okay, all right.
How it looks, I will make it look good.
No, yeah, okay, thank you.
There's no point of everyone looking at someone at doing that. I can do it at the end. So are we good with opportunities? Anything more to add?
No, I don't think so.
No, that's pretty complete.
Sonia, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
The only thing that I read on a couple of those, they seems like opportunities like that they should do, or like a checklist, I guess. And some of the other things that came out of this were opportunities for, like we'd have an opportunity for an increased testimony or increased faith or improved relationships or improving marriage. Does that make sense? Those are kind of opportunities for, life-changing experiences, coming out stronger. I don't know. What are you doing? What are your thoughts?
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Oh, quoting some Kelly Clarkson right now.
Yeah, and that is false, by the way. I'm calling BS.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think it's also BS that Kelly Clarkson is the original one to say it.
I think, though, terrible opportunities or terrible situations do give us pause to stop and reflect and kind of regroup and redecide where we want to focus our attention and our efforts.
Okay.
Okay, so I added that last point. That was a good one. So important relationships consideration. We have Osam and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seems like we have everyone. We have parents, parents to children, children to children, right?
Yeah, children.
You could cover
The
it all,
other
yeah.
thing is, David, is one of the things in that reading was, we talked about the community of people who have lost people, say, to the 9/11. So as soon as someone would lose someone in a bombing, all these other parents would go to their Shiva, I think they called it, which is more the mourning or bereavement place, and they would immediately those people.
Now say you're one of us.
Right, that's what they said. That you understand. So it's like if you
you go to a community where people have already gone through what you're going through now, and they understand what you're going through.
Right. We had a son who had leukemia, and we developed, when everyone's like, oh, I'm sorry, but all of a sudden you talk to a mother with a child who had leukemia, and you now have an instant bond, even though you've never met that person. You know, within like 5 minutes, you have a bond. And that's kind of what they were talking about with this in terms of relationships, is they created instant bonds with shared, with people who shared the loss, people who lost children doing this. So that's the only other relationship I can think of that we didn't cover. Let me take it on.
Actually, I like that one. Do you want to add that to that list, or?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. That one's really good. Is that
that's a resource even too that I never thought of, is people with similar life experiences.
We kind of put that in our
Is it there?
principle. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Talked about community and how they all had similar.
Okay.
Okay, well, you're finishing that typing. Let's go to the next one, is recommended coping strategies. We have a lot. We only needed like 3, I think it was. I looked at all of them. They all look great.
Yeah, I like them too.
With like having to understand, safety plans, going to grief and loss group, commemoration helps. And then we have CBT, and we have the mood log.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
How many of these are common sense versus principles that we're learning from the class?
Well, I think with the CBT and the mood log, like those are both coping strategies we've learned, like we've done them ourselves, and we've like can apply. I think the other ones just add to showing that, like, showing that we're thinking of it all.
I mean, part of coping is system morale, and the system in this case is the family. What do you do for the family's morale? Member esteem, the esteem of each member.
I'm trying to figure out which one this falls under, which chapter, but a lot of those is you're right, it's common sense, but it's communication between parents. It's do you remember, like, when they talk about the fires, everyone interprets theirs differently, and being able to come together and have the shared experiences and then communicate better about those things.
Another part of bond adaptation is the degree of member to family and family to community fit. So how does the member fit with the family, and how does the family fit with the community? It's all interrelated.
Okay, are we moving on to the recommendations?
Yeah, we got 2 right now.
Yeah.
I think we should probably add like 1 or 2 more. What do you guys think? I know this one's hard to kind of figure out.
Well, the things that they were saying that helped on those ones, it was, again, the support group, or which you've kind of got there, where they're gathering support with people with shared experiences. The other things that Dr. Shamir, whatever, said that works is, well, again, kind of back to the resilience. A big thing is just finding meaning in this. Some people found comfort that their kids or whoever was dying for the homeland, or dying because for the Zionist movement, or felt that I don't know, making, you know, how in terrorists they somehow think they're pleasing Allah, they're in what they're doing.
That, and they get 70 virgins. And they die.
What could be better than that?
I wonder if they really believe that. You hear it, you know.
Okay,
You know,
so
another thing that we've learned, and I don't know if it's in my independent reading or not, because I do a lot of that while I'm doing this, is they can find strength in their faith. And they could become, someone asked earlier about what community. Are we talking about the stake or the city? You know, in this case, they could be with their religious group. They don't call them temples. What do they call them?
mosque.
Yeah, they could
So,
you know, go down to their mosque more. And
a recommendation that I'd have for everybody, like no matter what the trial is, I mean, it's so easy to say that not to judge. The thing that was disappointing in that one, it said that in some cases, one of the concerns at the end was, in some cases, parents may be expected by society to behave as heroes in the ongoing Jewish struggle for existence. At the other extreme, criticized for behaving as usual and not mourning enough. So here you've lost your child, they've been bombed, and now people are criticizing you because you should be having your child act as a martyr and being very open about your mourning, or criticized because you're not doing that. So, like, seriously, people, just lost a child, just leave them alone. Like, oh.
What was it called? Moss?
You could just use religious symbols or use just technically, I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's back to what David and I were saying, where if they have a memorial or they have a monument or have something like
that. So siblings are good too.
Yeah, good job.
Oh, what I was thinking about. Wow. Okay. Thank you.
So additional resources.
Last one. Okay. We have great ones. We have employment, counseling for all the family, try and serve others, and then support groups or parents. I like that. Anything else you think?
Let's put participate in, or join, participate in, or start a support group, do you think?
It's on there. Oh, you mean rephrase it?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Oh, by all means, rephrase the green, definitely, or get rid of it. In fact, there is one green I want you to get rid of.
Awesome.
Anything else you want to add for additional resources?
You could also put their religious stuff if you want. I'm not sure. But I think it looks good. Yeah. I think it looks good though.
Okay, anything else that anyone wants to add to any of it?
Yeah, I like it.
Appreciate everyone being prepared and coming.
You see, I'm going to make sure I get rid of something here. Hang on a second. Saw it. Okay, recommended coping strategies.
Mm-hmm.
On page 4.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
the very first green one that I put in there, they can try to understand, blow that up. That's not, please take that out.
Okay. Oops.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone? Anyone at all?
No.
I think this is probably the most intense case study I've done.
This was
Yeah.
really intense,
That was
yeah.
a tough one.
Yeah, this was hard. This was really hard.
Yeah.
Well, it was very real. I mean, this is stuff that they do every day. Like we go, go to school and go to work, and they get bombs dropped on them. I was like, I don't think so.
Yeah. I'm taking a Pakistan class right now and just like learning
Oh,
stuff. It's like crazy.
Isn't that a great class? I loved it.
Yeah. I don't know why I saved it. I'm graduating this semester. I don't know why I saved the end, but it's good.
I have mine saved till the end too, so that'll be my last class.
Without getting too political, just like seeing all of this, and as a member of the church, I think, do we have a responsibility to these refugees, for all this they're going through, for us to say, nope.
We do have a responsibility to refugees, but these people are not refugees.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, right. But I mean, if they chose to leave the bombing or leave their homes or chose to.
And the church has put things out about supporting refugees and stuff.
Yeah, no, this was totally an off topic, but not related to our paper. So anyway, yeah, you can probably go off mic now since.
go ahead and stop the broadcast.
Now, so I can start talking about other things.
Okay, and I'm stopping in 3, 2, 1.